Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we are here taking a look at Hearts to Hearts Focus. This ended up winning the YouTube lottery I put out a little bit ago as a thank you for just being a part of the journey with me, and I had some time to be able to tackle something extra and I wanted to get YouTube involved, and so yeah. Things were submitted, so many requests were submitted, and Hearts to Hearts won out, especially by just the amount of people requesting. So I do have those individuals tagged in this description of this video as a thank you. I'm looking forward to this. I liked their debut. I believe they are an even number, so that was something that I was navigating at their debut, and you guys had told me that there was a shift in the formations due to feedback like that. So I am excited to see this. I'm ready. I hope you are. Let's go.
I cannot focus on anything but you, baby. I cannot focus on anything but you.
This is really fun. I like the literal framing that we're seeing there. Wow. Very functional, and it looks like a heart at the contrast of the outfits and color. They had to do that with manipulation of timing, I bet, in the music video. Shoot. That's cute. Pew, pew, pew. Oh, we're like, I'm gonna take you out in the classroom. That's really cool. I use half your members on one side of the mirror and then to the other. That was cool. That also looks like carpet. It's not something that is like the best to dance on, but it is a really cool aesthetic, right? But don't let that fool you. If you got really heavy friction-based shoes, not best to feel, especially. It's really fun. Yeah. I really like the strikes with the overheads. Overhead meaning this rotation that you would see in whacking. I like the stylized hands of it too. You're all I'm seeing. Seeing. Yeah. 3, 4. I like the different ways of stylizing the hands to showcase, or like, oh, we're not done yet. It's cute, and they're focusing really hard, right, on the framing here of the eye of each other, like using distance to help in that, because this looks like a right angle frame, but you have it here at the base like a heart, which I think is really cool. I really like the visuals of this. I'm curious about the hairless cat, if there's lore there, or if there's, you know, other elements that I'm missing that's like a part of the fandom. I'd love to know that, because we saw that a bit throughout. I think our teacher ended up turning into a hairless cat, but I really like the tastefulness of the styling. We had pastels living it up here. We've had the black and white contrast, right? Like the school uniform. It's very nice, and I like the complexity that we were able to see under that course as well. Let's go look at that dance practice. Okay, so far I like the framing, the very beginning of this. twists and turns on it. I believe Lachika, Root, Nine Jo were a part of the creation of the choreography, which checks out absolutely, especially because of some of the whacking integrated the way it is. Nice. Fun. So I'm noticing here we're choosing a catty corner method if we're not directly hiding someone behind. I really like the content. It looks good. Very tasteful because we're using our chest. We're not just using our extremities, so our arms, because that's half the battle. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of their execution of this. Focus. Such an earworm too, right? Let's go. 3, 4. Eee. Really? That was really cute. Also, a bit of a shower thought here. Has SM ever had a group debut that was a part of a survival show before the debut? Right? So you have JYP made their own survival shows. You also have YG making their own survival shows. You have Wake One as the epitome of the result of a survival show. But with SM, I haven't clocked any. And a lot of agencies tend to utilize, the creating and establishing a fan base through a variety reality content like that to help. But I didn't notice that. Like, there's no affiliation with Hearts to Hearts to a survival franchise. Maybe members have an affiliation, but like the group itself wasn't formed as a result of a survival show. So I'm very curious about that. If you're somebody who's, been down the pipeline with this, maybe not with this group, but with just with that idea over on the SM side. Okay, so from the top we go. Let me go ahead and I'll keep it right there. So from the beginning, I really like the framing of it. There's just a couple of places where I personally, chalk it up to preference, and I also don't know if it's the same people getting covered. I am really sensitive to when people are covered up in idol groups. It's not the same as a competition dance routine, quite simply because everybody is a fan. Everyone has a fan base. And so I know for me, if I had a bias in this group and they were covered up in the course or in really cool choreographic moments, but everybody else was seeing, that would make me feel it'd be hard to not read into that, especially if it's a patterned thing, right? I talk about this pretty often, funnily enough, with survival show groups where they were individually voted into the group. So they have huge fan bases, which is why you see, companies use that method to help push the group for success. But that's my only just preference note, an observation. But when it comes to the content, I really like it. It's probably it's definitely on the above average girl group focus kind of content that I've seen that I really like. So I like that they ended up going in a straight line. I like the framing with the hand placement is nice, and then we all walk forward. We're intentional with our walks, so we're maintaining, or we're focusing on a timing, right? So I think it's funny because now every time I'm saying the word focus, that I'm thinking about the song, and that makes me giggle. So I like the lean outs, and then I like that we have our feature here. She takes her arm, I like the fold over, and to where we can really see her. She's the only one looking at us too. Then we have everybody facing subtly different directions, but not really focusing on us until about right here. We have 3 people drop a level. We have a group of 3 and a group of 5. So if she was not, kneeling, she would obviously be covering up our features. So I love moments like this. You tend to see this more often with even number groups, especially if they're really trying to combat that narrative of avoiding the catty corners and avoiding the direct hiding of another member. And the simple reason as to why that happens so often is because you have 1 point features. So you have a single feature in a given moment. A lot of times you'll see, harmony stacking or hype passing off of energy, but most of the time in K-pop, you'll see one person featured, and then we move on to another person being featured. And we as humans tend to prefer symmetry or balance. It just feels right. There's a nature-based case study done with that, but we won't get into that. But yeah, it's very normal for us to care about those things, regardless if it's a K-pop group or if it's building blocks or Lego sets, right? So we have our arms extended out. I like the framing. Once again, I like it with the stylized hands. It's subtle but effective. She has her little focus moment here. It went from something more full to something more subtle. I really like that. And then we have a new moment here. I like the walk, and then also having the hands placed right here on the hips. And so when we move, our hands are framing our hips, which is really nice, to where we can see how we're utilizing our full body, not just walking for the sake of it. We're not compensating with our legs. We're using our hips and our torso so much more than what I normally see in choreography of this type of style. That's why it really works super, super well in a K-pop group. Normally there's a stiffness, specifically on the SM girl group side, which makes sense because of the live singing. It's not a bad thing, it's just an observation. And I've looked at aespa, I've looked at Red Velvet's work. See, it's still very limited. I mean, of course, Girls' Generation I've seen because I was a Gen 2 fan. I don't have a lot of their stuff covered, but my point though is a lot of this structure of choreography I normally don't associate to fluency of torso and grooves that we're going to see a little bit later with SM. And so I think this is a step in a fantastic direction with this group. So I like the focus there, and we're still in the intro. We've already touched so much. So let me see if I can expedite this a little bit better. But I like that she has her hand, she hits it over, and I love that it knocks the shoulders of the 2 counterparts on each of her shoulders. It's really nice. They walk away, also really nice. Could we, if we're going to entertain a catwalk, which I think this ties more into a whacking nuance and a Vogue nuance, maybe hand performance at best, but it's very femme. So if we're going to transition with a catwalk, which is what a catwalk is functionally supposed to do, that would be, you'd want to have a little bit more hip accent within that, but they showed that they can do that. So I think that's a choreographic choice there. I like the framing there. You're gonna hear me say framing a lot because that is what a lot of this is. You're framing the face, framing each other through directions, all that. So I like that little sway out. It's nice. That na na da da da. All that is really nice. Then we have the hips, and I like the hands syncopating, meaning that they're not interrupting, but they're introducing a new rhythm to your baseline tempo. It's really fun. and then they rotate through. And I like the contrast of the arms being up and down from those on the inside to outside of the formation. From here, we go head, shoulders, we open it up. This is super nice. All of them, including our feature, which normally you don't see in the feature. So they open it up with the chest and they let the hand frame around the face, or they're threading is another way that you could word that. They're all walking to the back, and then they all environmentally contribute. While you have your features up, they are looking away. They're taking the head and sending it towards each other to connect the back line here soon. And they flit from one side to another. And then we end up having these brushes. Looks like we have little eyelashes, flick, flick. It's cute. And we bring it into a column. I like that they establish the column picture moment, and then when we open it up, we can absolutely see a dynamic shift, or we can see our feature come from any person within the line, which is super nice. So she says hello, and then from there she goes, and then it turns into an add-on from the back of the column. A lot of times you see this type of situation near the front, so I really like it coming from the back, because that means everybody's got to have their ducks in a row in order for us to appreciate this. So the arms are nice. There's your whacking overhead. It's giving that hand performance, new way Vogue femme, but like the tiniest degree. Inspiration, for sure. And Logica does have a background on the whacking side, which is why it once again checks out, because they've done so much work with Chungha, and you see it reflected in her work as well. Can we even open it up? She ends up doing a little porte-bras, which means arm carriage, with her arms in contrast. And they take the arms, they fold it. I like the swim and the turn out of that too. We have the arms come up. We do a little shampoo with our arms. We go down to the ground. New feature. Like, this is all fantastic. There doesn't look like anybody's been covered up. Doesn't look that we are, we don't know what to do here, so let me just put somebody there. Like, it doesn't feel that way. It feels very intentional, very thought out, which helps me focus and appreciate and digest everything I'm looking at so much more as an audience member and as somebody who reviews dance with you guys. So I like that they angled the hands with the fold-ins of the wrist up here with my two ladies here, and then also my two ladies here for our points in center. But also, once again, you have a lower level, so we're able to create fullness of the formation without covering anybody up. Everybody gets time to shine. So we have one of our members, she ends up being a part of both groups, where in the center, a lot of times you can have that type of responsibility. That's what I do when I set choreography, when you have somebody in center. And a lot of times, because it's even, I'm kind of surprised that she didn't do both, or she just committed to the stage right side. Because normally if you have a point feature in center like that, they do both sides. There's not somebody who also shares the center, or unless they're doing the same thing that she's doing. So I thought that was interesting in the quantity of people for the add-on choice in particular. So we fold the arm up. I like the dip down is really nice. Not dip, sorry. I gotta rephrase that, because I've already touched on whacking a little bit of Vogue. There is a movement called the dip. They're not doing that at all. I mean the drop in our weight. We do a little plie, or we do a bend in the knee. So I have to be cautious of that, because sometimes people be like, Jess, you don't know what you're talking about. I can be confusing sometimes if I'm not careful. So I'm trying to catch myself as I do it. So I really like the focus. So I like the flick of the wrist there with the arm framing the face. You're hearing me. It's not a broken record, because we have different records in the same album that we love. And then with the pickup, I like the head being fixed pointed in the rotation, so everything moves. My hands are like, come here. I like the passe out of it. It looks great. And then we have our arms up. Come on, flick, flick of those shoulders. And we have that focus. Head ISO looks great there. Like the subtlety. The brushes, and she goes, so we have our arms rotate forward. And I like the flick. Choreography is a must, and we see it in full force here. Arms go up. I like the walk with intention. And it looks like my feature is controlling them through the pivots, through the hair. Really nice there, right? So I like the reveal, having somebody move forward. But also notice we have somebody covered up. I have no idea who that is back there, and I wish that I got to see them, because I like doing movement quality progressions. No, I haven't looked at enough hearts to hearts and a close enough, density to really be able to tell you who is considered your main dancer, who's considered the dancer with the most opportunity for growth, dancer who this is their style through, and here's why. And I think that's fine. But, I do get limited whenever I literally cannot see somebody. That could be a missed opportunity, at least for me as a viewer, to be able to appreciate somebody's growth or somebody's area of opportunity. but I like this little focus, hands wipe down, but I'll try not to keep mentioning that. I will recognize and say every time I notice it, but that's not the main focus of this. We can, oh gosh, we can really appreciate a lot that. I like the ball changes on these arms as we move. And then she flicks it really nice. Now, this is the catty corner that I had talked about earlier, right? So I talked about the direct hiding of somebody that we saw about 2 counts earlier, and then also right here. This does impact a sense of balance because you have 4 people over here, you have your point, and you normally don't associate them as being associated with one side or another unless you're splitting center, which we're not. So she would technically be a part of the balance over here. So it looks more scarce on this side compared to this side. I will say, depending on the amount of people, if you have a lot of dancers, that can be a little bit easier to hide because you have quantity, but because you have 8 people, it's really, really clear and with the formations that we have. So that's my other area. You know, those 2 things that I mentioned are always areas of opportunity for growth, and you're sitting in a great place in composition overall. If your formations alone really make it captivating and enhance your members without even touching the choreography. If you just look at the transitions, which is why I love fixed cams, because you can really see what's going on in these little isms here. Because this is what fans see at concerts. This is what fans see at music shows, right? So I like the head ISO there too. I like the pivot, this rotation around. I love the pickup there. Range looks pretty decent. Some of our girls have more of a flexibility in that leg than others. I think that's fine. Their range checks out pretty well. Range meaning the timing between A and B of a move, where this is 1, this is 2, or A, B. How fast or how slow we get from those. That's always the trickier part of making really clean dances, but they look really nice here. And this is not simple choreography in the slightest. So I like the framing of the chest. They go into the overheads with the hands there and they swim it around. I like the hit there. Another case of somebody being hidden behind. Looks like somebody different this time. So they rotate it, the pickup, and then the hop there. And I like the with the hip accenting to match these flicks, not even flicks, these chops that we have framing in the front of us. I like that. It's cute. It reminds me of what is it? Wasn't there a choreo by If I called Are You Okay, where they had a really nice just sway of the upper body with the lower body enhancing it. That resonates similar. I'm not saying it's the same thing. It really isn't. But how it makes, like, scratches that part of my brain, I really like. So it's cool. I'm here for it. So I like the fixed points, the rotation on that. It's cool. And then we turn out of it, you have this which is also nice to see. The pickups of the passes are fun. I like my little trio in this group of 5. I love it. This is cool because you can entertain polyrhythm through delegation. This is a term that you don't really hear a lot of people talk about because it's something that I've kind of curated as a vocab for myself to touch in this way, where you have different sounds in your music, but you, instead of having like your content, like your choreography in sequence, by you doing it, match all of those sounds, you have formations and you have groups do more of a focused choreo, see, it goes to focus, in order to really saturate and fill the sound as a whole with your people without having to put too much complex responsibility on the content. So there is beauty in that when you see it, but you don't have to do it. And this is a good example of that. So let's see what's being delegated. So we have our vocals. They drop it down, most likely it could be an accented wordplay, something along those lines. They come back up. She goes da 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 da. Our second time we have the different angles. We have a low and a high, which is cool. We open it up and then we go back to the diagonal. And I like that their arms were a little bit higher here in this trio because even though we have people near the front, we can still see all 3 of them as our main point features, even though we have our feature being here. That is something that I will say about this that I do appreciate is you are able to see who's featured at all times. Sometimes when you look at a dance practice or a stage performance, it gets a little hard whenever we don't have levels or we don't have dynamics or we don't have those things that we're touching on that really enhances and frames your feature to where us as an audience, regardless if we know the group or not, we're able to see them. So I really like that aspect about this. Huge progress in that area. I like the snap down is fun. So this part here, I'm assuming May 2 are featured here. and then we have it little fold over on the chest because they're also partnered too, and they're focusing on us. That's what my assumption is. Now, whenever you have people hidden, part of me, I actually prefer when it's not just one person hidden, it's two people hidden, because then you're actually could potentially deal with more interesting balance choices, because we're just so used to one person getting covered up in an even number group. So it's just a more creative way of hiding people. It's just a little shower thought, but I really like the framing here. But once again, we have somebody hidden away. They are very clean to where it is hard to see when somebody's hidden away. And it looks like it's the same person with the green sweatpants that I saw before. So far, she doesn't look like she's, a liability in movement. And I don't think SM or most agencies don't debut people who are considered liabilities in certain areas, at least to my knowledge. I don't know. Or maybe that's part of our marketing noise, but I didn't catch that with Hearts to Hearts. Everyone seems very cohesive with each other. So yeah, the knocks are fun. The walk back, flick the hands, really great hand focal points. I really, really like the hands and the extremities with compliments to the chest in this dance a lot. I love it. Get the arms out. I like the brush up, bringing it through. Now notice too, we had multiple people hidden. It felt more like a concept overall for the sake of the formation, not a liability of a member, regardless if it's true or not. That's just what we feel. So then we have a new feature up. So we have a little fold down with the head going to the columns. Now it looks like we're about to do a feature reveal. She takes the arm, we flick it out. She says come in, and then we have our wrist out. Now we had somebody hidden behind her during her feature who didn't contribute anything feature wise after that, but she was hidden for symmetry, and then she was tucked away in another formation. That was a very creative way of hiding somebody, but it was just very interesting. Did we need to do that? I don't know, because when you're dealing with columns, let me go back. Let me see. Oh, and side note too, any note that I give in terms of like an area of improvement, 9 times out of 10 has more so to do with the teams involved with the group, not the group themselves. The group is still a rookie group, and when you're dealt with a really large agency like SM, they're the ones who kind of get the main say, and you can maybe contribute a perspective or two in your comebacks, but they have a lot of time that they have to be in this space in order to get more comfortable as an artist, but also be able to have those types of creative liberties. Normally you don't see it until a good bit into the career. So that's why I'm saying even concept song, if there's ever plagiarism cases, I'm not talking about Hearts to Hearts, I'm just saying in general in the K-pop space, there's a lot of times where it has nothing to do with the group. It's just the group's the one that's the visual representation of it. So that's why they get in hot water. But I digress. This column, we see somebody hidden away. Columns, because we can't see through people, they are a better way to kind of hide somebody versus directly behind a feature, because it's a lot harder to do, right, as you're noticing. However, you see that we have them open up in their formation. Now, why didn't we allow my back dancer the ability to take her arms up and be a part of both groups so it looks intentional? I don't know, but yeah, we're gonna hold them accountable to this. That's really my only qualm with this. The little slide in there is fun. So she has that I cannot focus, and then we have everybody fold in, which is cool, but then you have a catty corner somebody there. And the little passe is cool. So we have levels. We are capable of them. It looks good. And then you have the I cannot with the head is really nice. Super subtle. I really appreciate the subtlety and the clarity of the subtlety. It helps us appreciate the dance more. And it honestly makes you focus on what's going on, which is exactly the name of the track. Then we rotate it up. It looks like some of it's a little body roll, which I'm here for. We walk forward like we're on a catwalk. So she takes that arm, sends it out. They turn out a bit, just like what we saw before in course 1, just different person. And then we have the arms travel high to low. They bring it in, flick, flick, flick. And then we have that focus. This move, I feel like I've seen before. I forgot who, but it's still a fun move. It could be from Lachika's, fingerprint, I don't know, or whoever's been working with teams. So the arms, dance break time, go out overhead, we flick it out, and then to the chest, arm poses, and then we reinstate that chest again, bring that arm down. Looks really cool, and then we create subtlety there. This is fantastic. And we flick it, nice. And we end up switching it on the third one, power of threes, really cool. Choreography is eating. I like they swing it and they hop it, and then we end up doing those slices again, like what we were seeing before. And then we bring it in, and then we send it down. Little pickups are cool. Overhead. Now, I think there is one person that does stand out to me as the area, somebody I'm looking forward to seeing their growth in. I would love to know her name. This is my girl right here. I'm not saying people are the strongest or the weakest. I'm saying based on the structure of the dance and the genre influence that we're seeing, she has a lot of opportunity for growth in her torso, in her weight shifts, and in her risk taking in those areas. I see it in other ladies, and she's holding her own mighty fine, where she's not sticking out in a we need to practice more, not at all, but in a when I'm looking at who really, is harnessing and honing in on the style, there's a couple that stand out, and maybe, if I can catch them, we can do that. But she's one where I'm hopeful to see some growth from. I feel like it's going to happen, right? So she's even here, so she's having clarity in her lines, but you do see it in, I think when they all condense, you see it a little bit easier. Let me see. I think it's these two girls in particular that stand out to me in this style, which we love. So if they continue to do it, I could see them really hone this in as their vibe, right? Switch off is cool, and they end up doing a little brush down the side, which is nice. The hop is cool. I think it's specifically right after this section. So I like that they're mirrored too, funnily enough, because of who I pointed out. They look really cool. And they bring it in, and then they pick up that part. It's because I noticed that she wasn't risk-taking and as much as the two right next to her with the pickup. Is it because she's vocalizing? Maybe. I don't know the circumstance. But we overhead it. It's fun. Stamina, we're holding it down really nice, but that's just my little tidbit. Now, if you come at me and you're like, no, not come at me. And very rarely do I have people get really defensive, which I'm really thankful for. That means that I'm hopefully getting my perspective or opinion across without being too emotionally invested in it to where it doesn't feel like I'm jabbing a group, because that's not what I should be doing, right? We should be looking at and celebrating the cool stuff, but also looking at areas of opportunity for growth to continue to appreciate the group, especially if they want to expand their market of fans and what they could hone in on to make that happen. But if y'all are like, she danced for X amount of years, cool, that's great. And I would definitely look forward to seeing her in more spaces. I mean, we saw in the chase, is that the same girl that kept getting hidden? I don't know if I'm just associating the hairstyle. I don't know. So sorry if I'm projecting, but anyway, I'm just curious. She's doing great is my point. Makes me excited to see. So I like the little frame or the placement, and then you have the focus. Positioning's nice. We bring it in. I like the sways, and then we end up directionally changing. We have levels. Look at this. This is gorgeous. I really wish we had more opportunities that showed this near the middle. We saw it in the beginning, right? We really got to see cool stuff in the beginning, and we're seeing it here, which is nice. That does tie into the music video. I like the switch off on the arms is cool. We end up taking this trace. Looks great there. And then we have our moment where they're framing out. So we have a lot of these diagonals with direction change in torso, which is cool. It gives a little MJ, this is it moment here. We have two of our members moving forward. That's really cool. Love that. And then we have a interlock frame there, and they have their focus, and we have the ISO there. Everyone's facing it back except for those two. That focus, notice that they create tension on the is, which is really cool. And they end up facing the back, and we melt it, and we go the build up there with this outro that we're about to see. They ripple it, which looks great. And they flick it up. The overhead is nice. I like the focus with the twinkle of the arm. The switch it. Great framing on that too. And we open it. Come on. It's not a Harlem shake, but it's definitely an isolated hip. Nope. Those are shoulders. An isolated shoulder switch, which is really nice. Flick up on the arm is nice. The ball changes are cool there with the shoulder. We hit it. We travel it and bringing it nice and low. And then we open it up. Come on, hair. And then we bring it to the chest and send it down. And then we bring it to the inside. Focus. And then we end up creating these like subtle weight changes there, which is nice. And then we have a fun framing at the end, and we look and frame outward. Some are looking towards the front, most are looking towards the outside. It's great, and I love the little gimmick at the end. I look to the front. How fun. So this one can be fatiguing if you're not conditioned for it, for sure, just like any dance you learn. But this one was definitely the focus on the arms, hands. It's really these arms did a lot of the grunt work for it, but the chest utilization when it needed to happen really made it super captivating. So thank you guys, especially on the YouTube side, for making this happen. I really appreciate it. And my goal too for 2026 is to look at more girl group material. We've been giving a lot of boy groups lots of love, which I love. And we are currently looking at twice in a marathon format, which is cool. But I really want to try to stay on top of girl groups more efficiently. So you guys really helped hold me accountable to that here in this case. I'm Jess, you know me, I know you, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.